So today I want to go over how to cure your sugar addiction. And in fact, I might be so bold as to say how to cure any addiction. I know that sounds crazy, but what I'm about to say just makes a lot of sense. And in order to talk about this, I have to share a study that has been done first. So there was a study that was done on rats, and they put this rat in a cage. They put multiple rats in different cages, and they gave each rat two water bottles. One was laced with drugs, heroin, cocaine, stuff like that. And then the other one was just plain water. And almost 100% of the time, these rats would go back to the drug-laced water, so much so that they would end up overdosing and dying. And then there was a scientist that came in and said, okay, these rats are isolated right now. What if we, give them kind of like a little bit of a rat paradise and then we see which bottle they choose? So then they put a bunch of tunnels in this cage. They put all the cheese that they could, eat in this cage, and they gave this rat some rat friends. And what they noticed was unbelievable, almost going from 100% overdose rate to a 0% overdose rate. These rats no longer wanted this drug-laced water because this rat paradise kind of became their drug. And so what does this tell us about addiction? Well, what if addiction isn't really necessarily like these chemical imbalances we have, or these chemical hooks that we have that are wrong with us? What if addiction is simply the response to the cage that we've been put in? What if it's just the cage that's leading us to choose this kind of sugar addiction, drug addiction, porn addiction, phone addiction? What if it's the cage that we live in, perhaps the cage that we've created, or the cage that that we were forced into, by past traumas or things we didn't realize were happening? What if it's the cage that we live in that is causing the sugar addiction, not the addiction itself? Because perhaps addiction is just simply an adaptation to our environment. Perhaps we just get addicted to the thing that's going to give us the biggest hit, when really our environment is a cage of isolation, of discomfort, of X, Y, and Z that's not enjoyable. And so, of course, we seek the thing that gives us the easiest enjoyment, right? Sugar, let's say. And so, you know, instead of calling it addiction, this study, they said, what if we called it kind of like bonding? What if addiction is just a form of bonding? And if there's nothing in your life or nothing in your close environment that's worth bonding to, or that gives you immense pleasure from bonding to, or instant gratification from bonding to, then your brain, your body, your chemicals are just going to crave the next best thing. And it will choose whatever is available, whether that is a drug, or that is sugar, or that is your phone, or it is whatever. So addiction is an adaptation to the cage that you've been stuck in. And it's just you choosing to bond with the thing that gives you the most enjoyment in the moment. And so it's not about curing and removing sugar. It's about creating an environment and creating this rat paradise, so be it, that gives you a bigger high than the drug itself, than the sugar itself. Is this making sense? And so, the opposite of addiction is not necessarily sobriety. The opposite of addiction is connection. Having connections, being present, feeling wanted, welcomed, worth it, engaging and interacting in meaningful conversations, meaningful relationships. That gives us the hit of dopamine, of oxytocin, of that drug high that we all want and all look for. Everybody has some type of addiction to something. It's just, is the addiction serving us, or is it hurting us long term? Is it moving us towards our goal or away from our goal? Right? And if we replace the word addiction with connection, where can you replace your connection with sugar? Where can you replace your connection with food? And so that something else in your life gives you a bigger high than that thing. If you are somebody who is constantly feeling enslaved, trapped, or called to overeat all the time, you have the best of intentions. You say you're not going to eat today, or you're going to eat clean, or you're not going to do that, not do this, be like this. And you constantly let yourself down and go against your word, not because you want to, just because in the moment it just seems too hard. If that's what's going on, it means, unfortunately, in your life, that is the biggest high you have available at the moment, right? And it's kind of sad when you think about it. That's the highlight of your day. If you're somebody who cannot control your cravings, or cannot always control what you're putting in your mouth, it means that is some type of entertainment, enjoyment, high, relaxation, stress relief. It's this connection and it's giving you something that the life you built isn't giving you. And so the answer is not to remove sugar from your house and swear off sugar forever and try to go cold turkey and never eat sugar again. Like yes, is that helpful? Perhaps. That's not going to cure you of your, let's say, addiction, of this bonding pattern that you have with food. It's not going to cure it. Okay, it might put a band-aid on it for a little bit, but that desire to use it as an outlet will still be there. Okay, so it's about recreating and like getting creative with your cage. What else can you add to your cage? Quote unquote, your environment, your life. What more can you add to your life to make it like they're like drug hits all the time? Right? What little adventures, little fun things, little plans can you do, big or small, every single day to get excited, to get instant gratification? What is the reward system you have set up for yourself outside of food? Because so many times I hear women starting a meal plan, a diet, a weight loss program, and then one of the first thing that comes to their mouth is, I can't wait to eat blank at the end of this. Their reward for being healthy is to go binge on some pizza and ice cream or something like that. That doesn't even make sense, does it? Right? And so if you truly want to lose weight and then you want to keep it off, as you go through the process, you need to be bonding and connecting and creating connections somewhere else in your life so that food becomes the least exciting thing in your life. It's just there to eat because we have to or we die kind of thing. And now, yes, we can still get pleasure from food. That's never going to go away completely. But let me tell you, there is such thing as a life so full and so pleasurable where food is the farthest thing from your mind because you are having so much fun and you are so involved and so fulfilled and so content with your everyday life, with the way that you speak to yourself, with the way that you interact with the people in your life. Are you lacking connection, deep connection in some areas with your children, with your spouse, with your coworkers, with yourself? Are you making time to connect with Mother Nature, with your pets and animals? Like, are you actually putting effort into connection, or are you waking up just fighting to get your to-do list done every day? If that's your life, where on earth is there going to be room for weight loss? Because weight loss is the most important thing because it equals health. And a healthy you is a high functioning, happy, loving, caring, patient, energetic, amazing you. That's the you that should be showing up in your life every day. If you can't be that you need to be putting almost all of your effort into becoming that you, because anything else is a slap to the face to your potential and that future version of you waiting for you to come meet each other. It's a slap to your husband's face, to your children's face when you're not being the best you possible, because you are slowing them down by you not being able to lead them, by you not being able to be a good example, by you not being able to show up as your best self to help guide your family or your life in the direction that you want. And if you don't know what direction that is, being healthy is going to give you the clarity to sit down and find that direction. But if we keep giving in to short-term gratification because of the addiction patterns that we've created, because of the lack of connection in our life, well, the answer is to not focus on the addiction and get rid of the addiction. It's what if we just shifted the addiction somewhere else? Who said being addicted to being healthy and happy and balanced and connected? Why is addiction a bad word when it simply just means bonding? When it simply just means obsessed with, right? There are things in life that we are obsessed with. That's never going to go away. Why can't we use them in our benefit? Why can't we turn it around and use it as the fuel that helps us be successful this time instead of the thing that's always going to throw us off and be our kryptonite, our downfall? And so if you are struggling with controlling what to eat or always having a sweet tooth, or maybe you're just having a really hard time in life and it's just boring and you're just having a hard time hanging on in life, and food tends to be the quick hit, the comfort, then it's okay. I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know there's nothing wrong with you. I want you to know that this is not how life has to be. This is not a death sentence. You're not stuck like this. You're not in this rut routine forever. It is very easy to get out of. You first have to recognize what you are in. There's a lack of connection and excitement in your life simply because you didn't know that that was the solution. And now that you know it is a solution, guess what you can do? You can put all of your energy and focus into getting yourself excited. Little things. And so write a list of The small things. I remember one night we were having a little party at my dad's house, and I was with my sister, her husband, my dad, and we were all drinking, having a good time, and we got into this conversation of like, what are the small things that you love in life? What are the small things that just get you? And we started listing off things like the smell of fresh cut grass, the first fresh cut grass of the summer, right? A sunrise on a fall morning with all the colorful leaves, a crispy green grape on a charcuterie board. We were getting like all these little tiny things, a baby's breast milk breath, right? All these beautiful, wonderful, simple things that are more exciting than taking a bite of a piece of food that gives you joy for 5 seconds while you chew it, and when you swallow it, it's gone, and your life is still the same and still perhaps a mess. And so, if we want to get out of this habit, the first thing that you must do is sit down and ask yourself, what are the little things that I love? What are the little things that, number one, if I focused on, and number two, I added more of in my life, that I would just be more excited. I'd have more little, if you think of yourself, heart monitors in the hospital, right, where you flatline, that's where your life is right now. You've kind of flatlined. Maybe you have a little bit of blip up and a little bit of blip down, but there's not much fluctuations. How can you add more little blips, slightly bigger blips, and big blips into your life on the upward trend? How can you do that? Well, first you need to know what excites you, what do you enjoy, and what gives you fulfillment. Start there. Make a list, small things, medium things, big things. And then look at these lists every morning and say, I'm going to do that one today, right? On the small list. Or maybe look at the medium list and say, I'm going to fit that in this week. Or maybe we look at the big list and we say, I'm going to get that done in the next 2 months. And then we have things we are always looking forward to. If you have a life where you have nothing worth looking forward to, you will keep looking forward to getting home and eating, to sitting on the couch and unwinding with a glass of wine, with a snack. If you do not have a life full of things worth looking forward to, you will continue to look forward to food. You will never be successful in your weight loss journey because you are fighting an uphill battle with a natural addiction. It is in our nature, perhaps, to be addicted to things. It's in our nature to be addicted to things. Of course, we're addicted to food. We need to eat or we die. So that's not a bad thing. It's we've harnessed it in the wrong way and we have the wrong intentions behind it. It's time to reclaim addiction, realize we're just looking for bonding, and replace it with good connections with the things that excite you. It's really that simple. It really is that simple. It just requires a little extra effort on your part to realize that this is where your effort needs to go now. Anywhere else is a waste. Anywhere else that you put effort is a complete waste because you will never get as big of an ROI, return of investment, in that area than you will when you invest in yourself. The return of investment when you put time into yourself is exponential. It is inquantifiable, intangible. How much growth happens, how much better your life gets when you take your energy, put it inwards on you instead of putting it outwards on other things. That's a slow growth. So, if you want to break free from what you call a bad addiction, or perhaps just a dependency, or perhaps it just has too much control over you than you would like, start looking for other joys in your life and start listing out how we can add more joys.